Assalamu alaikum, my name is Veronika and I am a Muslim revert who has been on a journey to find my new identity, or shall I say, to discover my true identity for the past 10 years. I come from a culturally Russian background and I'm currently living in New Zealand. It's been quite a journey, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, as a Muslim revert, I have faced a fair share of challenges in trying to find my new identity, especially being away from home, even though New Zealand does feel like a home to me. But I just know I'm not alone in this. Many of you come from completely different backgrounds and you choose to become Muslim. So that's why I wanted to make this video, to share my story and help others who might be finding themselves in a similar situation, facing a bit of an identity crisis. But before we dive right into this video, I wanted to share with you my free ebook, How to Celebrate Your Natural Beauty as a Hijab-Wearing Woman. It's completely free and it's available for download right now. The link is in the description. But in the book, you will find hijab styling and accessorizing tips that will help you feel confident wearing hijab without relying on makeup. I also talk about other things like the importance of self-love and self-acceptance that really helps you embrace who you are and love yourself as you are, and in turn find confidence and comfort wearing hijab and not wearing any makeup. And I also share my personal story of how I've healed my body image, put on the hijab on and gave up makeup, and how it made me the woman I am today, the most confident I've ever been. So if you're wearing hijab and you're thinking of giving up makeup, this book is definitely for you. It's a short but impactful read, and you can go to the link in the description to download it. It comes into different formats, a PDF format and an audiobook as well, so you can consume it whatever way you prefer. The link is in the description. Check it out. So let's dive right into the topic of starting over as a Muslim revert and finding your new identity, or discovering your true identity. That's the term I prefer.
Salam, I'm Veronika Adali. I'm a revert to Islam, a founder of a modest activewear brand, a content creator, a wife, and a mom. I share my life and business journey as a Muslim woman living in New Zealand. My mission is simple: help Muslim women to embrace modesty and hijab while following their true passion. I create content to boost self-confidence, mindset, and lift your spirit so you can successfully balance faith, career, and motherhood. Subscribe for inspiration, motivation, and lots of laughter, all from a Muslim woman's perspective.
So when I first converted to Islam, I experienced what I like to call an identity crisis. It was like I was suddenly thrown into a whole new world, and I almost didn't know who I was anymore. I was torn between my cultural Russian roots, adjusting to a New Zealand culture, and trying to embrace my new faith. It was a little bit confusing at times, I must say. So the best way I can describe it is I was kind of stuck between the two worlds, like Hannah Montana. So, and I didn't really know where I belonged anymore. And it was a little bit stressful. Even though I did face those challenges, I've tackled it all with a sense of humor, alhamdulillah. That's what kept me sane, and just taking it one step at a time, embarking on this journey with a positive outlook. So I've got to tell you about the time when I first became Muslim, and Muslims that I knew started telling me that I needed to change my name and find something more Islamic to go by. And I was like, what? I love my name. And now I became Muslim and now I have to change my name too? That made me feel very, very anxious, I'm not gonna lie. But I decided not to rush into everything and take a step back and do some further research on my own. And you know what I found? That I didn't have to change my name if it didn't have a negative meaning that goes against the teachings of Islam. If the name is not un-Islamic, then it's totally fine for you to keep your name. So I was like, phew, that's the weight off of my shoulders, because my name is something that is a core part of my identity, and it has been for the longest time in my life. So I was really happy when I found out that I didn't need to change my name if I didn't want to. And I really want to emphasize that it's important to differentiate between the two. The culture and religion are two different things. And that Islam is a global religion that is accepting of all cultures, as long as they don't go against the teachings of Islam. So that means when you do become Muslim, it doesn't mean that you have to erase the whole essence of who you are and your background. You can hold on to your cultural values, and of course, as long as they don't go against the teachings of Islam. So if you're feeling like you're losing your identity as a result of converting to Islam, I want to remind you that you don't have to let go of your cultural heritage. Instead, try to embrace both your cultural background and your new faith, and reconcile the two in the way that works for you. So as soon as I realized that I didn't have to change my name, that was the beginning when I really started to explore my new identity as a Muslim woman. I dove into learning about Islam, learning and reading books and listening to lectures. And I also connected with other Muslims in my community, which was a huge help. I finally felt like I was a part of the community rather than just going through this journey alone. So I want to share with you some quick tips that really helped me on my quest to finding my new identity. First of all, don't be embarrassed or ashamed or scared to ask questions, even if they might be difficult, because that's how you learn more about Islam. You learn what you can do, what you cannot do, and that way you can actually have a clear idea in your mind what things from your culture you can keep and which ones got to go because of that conflict of interest. Secondly, reach out to other Muslims in your community or your online community and just form connections, because we all have a shared experience, or try to find other Muslims who come from the same cultural background as you are. That can be extremely helpful. You can bounce ideas and you can share your stories and find some common ground, which can be very helpful for you and your other, like in my case, other Russian Muslim friends. It's okay to take it step by step, and it's okay to give yourself time to get used to it and fully incorporate the changes into your life. So let's talk about balancing your cultural identity and your religious identity as a Muslim revert. I personally didn't want to completely abandon my culture, and I just had to really work out how the two can coexist, which is like, of course we know they can, but it was a journey. Remember, we're talking about Veronika 10 years ago. And I think the key that really helped me is finally realizing that I don't have to become Arab to be Muslim, you know what I mean? That just was never gonna happen. And the fact that my cultural identity as a Russian woman that I am, and my religious identity as a Muslim woman, they can completely and totally coexist. And as soon as I realized that I can embrace the two, the whole experience became oh so enriching. And it all comes down to balance. Finding that balance that only you know how to find, and you will find through trial and error. But here are some tips that might be helpful. Explore your cultural heritage. Like, make sure you keep it going and have a deep understanding, have some cultural dishes that you always eat and you grow up with. Make sure you keep it going in your household. Like in my case, I've been living in New Zealand for almost 13 years now, and since day one, I've always had some grechka, which is buckwheat. I always had buckwheat in my pantry, and every single week I have borscht, which is a very traditional Russian soup, and I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, you can absolutely incorporate your cultural background into your life. You can participate in the cultural traditions, of course, as long as they don't go against the teachings of Islam. You can wear traditional cultural outfits, you can connect with the community, and do it all. You can keep it going after you become Muslim, of course. And then surround yourself with supportive people who just get it, who understand your journey, and who will relate to you on that level. For example, my husband is Turkish. He is culturally Turkish. He is Muslim. I'm culturally Russian and I'm Muslim. Islam is at the core of our life together, but we also make sure that our cultures are both present in our household. So we've kind of created our own hybrid culture because our kids are Kiwis. They were born in New Zealand, and they are half Russian and half Turkish. And we make sure we bring both our cultures into our household. All of us speak 3 languages. Well, my Turkish is a little bit shaky. My husband knows quite a few words in Russian actually, and he uses them when we talk to our kids, and we like interchange them, and I find it's very, very beautiful. It really helps me remember that I am Russian, that my husband is Turkish, and that we are raising our kids with 2 cultures very present in their life, so that they know their roots, they know where they're from. And of course, we have Islam at the center of our lives, alhamdulillah. As a Muslim who comes from a certain cultural background, it's important to embrace all of those different parts and dimensions of who you are as a person and be proud of it. I've personally heard some truly inspiring stories of people just embracing Islam and balancing their cultural background so eloquently and just incorporating both in their life, and just it shows really how diverse and inclusive our ummah is, alhamdulillah. So my advice is just embrace your new identity. Remember, you don't have to erase your past. You don't have to erase your cultural heritage. You can still be a proud Russian, a proud Puerto Rican, a proud Turk, a proud... You can still be proud of where you came from and incorporate the way you grew up, and then incorporate Islam into your life and build a very strong Muslim culture that goes hand in hand with your cultural background. There are so many different ways to do it, and it can be done. It can be done, and you don't have to be confused, and you don't have to erase who you are, and you don't have to change your name if it doesn't have a bad meaning. The identity crisis that you might be feeling right now doesn't have to be a source of stress in your life. If you are a brand new Muslim, you can still be who you are. You can be yourself. You becoming Muslim actually makes you, what we believe, makes you a better person, and it gives you purpose and direction, and you just add that layer on top of who you are, and it will just make you happier, inshallah. So in conclusion, I really hope that this video shed some light on the fact that finding your new identity and building your identity around Islam, incorporating where you've been and what you've learned prior to becoming Muslim, and how you can marry the two, and that way you can gradually discover your true identity while being true to who you are. And the funny thing is, I was always like, oh, Russian and Muslim, oh wow, that's just so interesting, how can that be? But the thing is, little did I know that there is like 10% of the entire Russian population is Muslim. So I didn't actually need to feel so interesting or so unique or so out of place. You can be Russian Muslim. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of Russian Muslims out there. Alhamdulillah. I know some now, and it's absolutely amazing. And yeah, it never needed to be a stressor in my life. There are so many Russian Muslims out there, and they're living their life being a proud, culturally Russian individuals who are also proud Muslims, alhamdulillah. So the real takeaway here is no matter where you come from, no matter what your cultural background is, you will always find a place in the Muslim community, alhamdulillah. If you are facing any challenges on your journey as a Muslim revert, make sure you reach out and ask for help. The Muslim community is incredibly supportive and welcoming, and we're always here to uplift and encourage you and point you in the right direction and provide the guidance that you might be searching for. We're always here for it. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. This was me talking about my identity crisis and the little tidbits that I've learned along the way on my journey of being a Russian Muslim revert. I've been on this journey for the past 10 years, alhamdulillah, and there's so much more to learn and so much more to discover. And alhamdulillah, I'm proud to be culturally Russian. I'm glad I grew up in a very rich culture, and then I embraced the Kiwi culture, and now I have Muslim culture as well. And we've created a very positive culture in our home, our hybrid culture of Russian, Turkish, and Kiwi cultures that has Islam at the core center of it all. So yeah, alhamdulillah for everything. So if you have any questions, make sure you leave them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do so right now, because I post content about Islam, hijab, being a new Muslim, things that help me, and of course I am here to help women to live confident, fulfilling, and adventurous life, being unapologetically Muslim and hijabi, and just being goal-oriented. Yes, all of those wonderful things. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come hang out with me. Assalamu alaikum, and I'll catch you later.